and James here from the DisKingdom Podcast. In this episode, we're going to be talking all about Kingdom Hearts 3. There was some major news come out last week with the Kingdom Hearts 3 premiere event, which took place in Los Angeles, which saw all the major press and also some of the big YouTubers like Gamer Joint and Skywing and a few other ones at the event, showing off all the different bits and pieces. We got to see some new screenshots and some of the new summons. We got to see them playing in the Toy Story world, also in the like Hercules zone with a big like mountain with big Thunder Mountain going around it. And just as a general, it's been kind of just a lot of buzz. They're going to be announcing the release date next month, which happens to be E3. They've also got a big orchestra event taking on. This was part of like Judges Week this past week. A lot of the big press have been trying out hundreds of games ahead of E3, so when E3 comes around, they basically can get all their content out without them actually having to. They've just realized they can't do everything at E3 in 1 week. They need like a month of E3 coverage, and so this was all part of like the pre-E3 build-up.
Yeah, and this is hardly unique to them, but yeah, I think we even talked about this last week, where we're just kind of like, if you try to announce everything at E3, it's just a single news bite in amongst 100 other news bites. So if you have an important announcement, you actually do it before E3, and this is what we got here with Kingdom Hearts. Obviously, we still don't have the release date that will be at E3, but yeah, we did get information though, and we've got, I think you mentioned it, Wreck-It Ralph. Yeah. Information coming into the game.
He's going to be a summon that will come in. There's also lots of like mini computer games as well.
Mini computer games.
Yeah, they got the Game and Watch stuff, but also I think there's a few other games like classic arcades. I think rather it's like they're not really going like the traditional world for him. There's like little minis games and stuff.
Oh, I see what you're saying. Yeah. Okay. Yeah, that makes sense. I did read that as well. So, and I'm fine with that. I actually kind of like the idea of, rather than having to do an entire world for every single character or franchise that we meet in the game, it'd be nice if some of them or more of them just kind of popped up. They make a cameo. They've got their own little thing, maybe in Traverse Town or whatever the hub world will end up being, and Wreck-It Ralph works perfectly because you just stick an arcade in there, and he can be one of the games, and then he pops out of the game, and now he's a summon for you.
Yeah.
And we did see some of the other summons. I think you mentioned Ariel.
Yeah.
And I really hope that there are no music games attached to that, like there were in the first one. But yeah, it's good to see the traditional characters, or the characters from the first round of games, popping back in as well. So
yeah, I mean, some of the footage and stuff has been, there was a little bit of like B-roll, I think, for some of the major ones, but a lot of the YouTubers has been like over the shoulder stuff because they weren't allowed to film and stuff doing it. It seems that they only had a small time limit to play it. So, like, the Olympus stuff was quite a short zone. It wasn't that big. The Toy Story area, they got to play about 30% of the level, but they were on a clock, so they had to kind of run for it. There's lots of, like, little mini games as well. Like, there's little touches, like, little things from, like, Final Fantasy toys. And Rex recognizes Sora from the video game, because it's one of his favorite video games, and things like that, and lots of little touches. It apparently did feel a little bit empty, and a lot of running around. I mean, some of the videos and stuff, I mean, I watched this thing like, I think it was like IGN, and it was such a depressing way of them talking about it. I mean, even the comments underneath were people just going, why are you being so depressed? This is the best looking Kingdom Hearts game of all time. It looks amazing, and you're still like, it's been a bit of an odd one. Of some people have got, some of the major pressing have got a big chip on their shoulder about this game and kind of make fun of it, and it's a bit of an odd one.
I really can't speak to that too much because obviously we haven't been all flowers and sunshine about the game either. We've definitely had some things. I just need to go back and watch our Game & Watch video. Yeah. I think we were pretty negative on that one, but there does seem to be in professional game media or in I don't know, mature or pseudo mature gaming, this idea that Kingdom Hearts is kind of a weird franchise. It's not meant for adults. It's not meant for kids. It's kind of somewhere in the middle. And there are certainly things to it that are off-putting to just regular gamers. The very anime influenced art design. You know, the Sora, Riku, other character whose name I'm completely getting. I'm now going to get destroyed for not knowing offhand. But that's the other point, though, unintentionally led into there, is that the fandom for this game, the hardcore fans, is extremely intimidating. You know, this is right up there with, say, like the Firefly fandom or whatever, where you're either part of the fandom and you're really into it, or you just look like a crazy fanatic to everybody else. And I will admit, for myself especially, long before, you know, we got 1.5, 2.5 HD remix, whatever, I was definitely in that group. I was like, I'm not sure I want to get involved in this game because the people that I've met who talk about this game really give me weird vibes. And now even, I don't consider myself part of the fandom. I enjoy these games, but I'm not part of the fandom. And even now I'm kind of like, you know what, you kind of guys, I get what you're saying. This is a really good game, but you need to tone it down. And I think that is starting to reflect into the main media too, because it's like they're outside. Shouldn't actually happen. Yeah, it can get intense, but at the same time, you shouldn't really screw around with it. It's still a full major AAA game, and whether or not you build into the fandom, whether or not you invest into it that way, it's still a fun game, and it doesn't deserve to be kind of looked down upon the way it is at the moment.
No, it's one of those like funny ones for me of I think the remix has brought me back in, but I'm excited about it because I love that 0.2 from the 2.8. That was such a fantastic like playing experience, and if Kingdom Hearts 3 is like that for me, that's what I'm after.
Yeah, and you know what? That's all it needs to be for me. Is it needs to be fun, and I need to travel to some Disney worlds and be like, oh, I know that character. It's cool that I get to interact with Hercules or Buzz and Woody and all that stuff, and that's all I need. Yeah. And you know, if the combat is, if the combat is fun, if the the RPG elements are engaging, if the story isn't too indulgent, like say Kingdom Hearts 2. At times, then great, I'm going to enjoy it. I'm really looking forward to the game, and that's all I need it to be. It's like earlier this week we were talking about Deadpool 2, and I think we both concluded, it's a really good movie so long as you know what you're getting into at the beginning, and I think Kingdom Hearts, the Kingdom Hearts franchise, period, it's really good at what it does. You just have to know what it is going into it, and set your expectations based on that.
Yeah, no, I'm really, all the stuff that came out of this event, I was like, yeah, great, I'm really excited about it. It's a thing of I was late to the party because I was that much older when the first game came out. I wasn't a kid when PlayStation 2 came out. I was in my early 20s and teen. It wasn't a game, so I didn't grow up with Kingdom Hearts like a lot of the new you got a lot of kids in their 20s and like late 20s that grew up playing this game as a kid, and that's why. But I think as a whole, it looks great. I can't wait to see it. I'm guessing we're going to see a November release date. That's going to be my guess for E3.
November sounds about right. I think we talked about this last week. I'm thinking it'll be a couple of weeks before Thanksgiving here in the States. I think that will hit the window that they want because it'll be early enough in the month. I'm thinking early November, early enough in the month that they'll be able to get the people who have been waiting for this game for 15 years, give or take, or even people like us who haven't been on the bandwagon for that long, who've only been waiting for it for a couple of years. We'll get it that first week it's out, and then it will be able to have a decent price drop around Black Friday for parents who are going to pick the game up for their kids for Christmas or what have you. So that's what I'm expecting right in there.
Yeah, it should be good. Like I said, all the stuff that came out, I just wish there was a little bit more. It would have been nice if they sort of maybe done a trailer or just to kind of, or even like live stream the presentation or something like that. But it's always a bit tricky because of, I think, like translating from Japanese to English and all the rest of it. But there seems to be a big influence of all these companies, all these sites, and all these people playing the game, suddenly now people are like, oh, this thing's real, this thing's actually happening, because I'm guessing these demos are going to be at E3 as well, and it was like a pre like test, and I just think this is all about getting people hyped, and I think this game is coming this year. I don't think it's going to be delayed anymore. I think it's ready to roll.
Yeah, I mean, it's been the running joke, whether deserved or not, that this game would never come out. It's been kind of a Duke Nukem game. Yes, it has only been officially delayed once, but we've been waiting, or fans have been waiting for 15 years since Kingdom Hearts 2. Yeah, I'm not counting, the 3DS games, the DS, the PS Vita, whatever games that popped out. But they've been waiting a very long time for.
Yeah, it's an odd one. I think also
Hearts
with
3 already.
Yeah, it's also an odd one with I think like with video games, because some like press and sites like that, they don't like they all want surprises, and it's like, well, we're going to announce a game, but it's only going to be out in like 2-3 months. Whereas I think like with movies, we all know like 5 years out what we know. Like Captain Marvel movie coming out at the end in next year. We've known about that for years. The movies world, they'll tell you 4 or 5 years away from, we're going into production or we started work on a script. Whereas with game things, they're like, oh, don't tell us too early, because that doesn't sound very good. It's like, well, that's what really games don't just happen overnight. They all can't do a Bethesda where they just go, oh, Fallout 3's coming out or Fallout 4's coming out in a couple of weeks. I don't know. I don't mind game companies being like, we're working on this game, it'll be out in like 4 years' time, and then leave it, rather than it being leaked on a train like Tomb Raider or someone else. So I kind of fall into a different category on that.
Yeah, and I think unfortunately that is very much a different category. I think most people, you say Shadow of the Rise of the Tomb Raider will be out. We're working on Shadow of the Rise of the Tomb Raider. It'll be out after Shadow of the Tomb Raider, and we don't have a release date for it, but we're working on it, so it'll be out eventually. People will then go every single year. Yeah. Well, what's the release date? We were expecting it this year. Oh, what's the release date? We were expecting it this year. And the company were like, no, we literally just said we're working on it. We don't have a release date. We'll give you a release date. But people will build in their own expectations for when the release date is, simply because they know it's coming. And then that's also not even factoring in that Square or whoever would be eventually going, we were working on Shadow of the Rise of the Tomb Raider, and we decided that's not actually the direction we wanted to go to. We put the resources in, so it's not actually happening. We announced it. It's not even in production. We're canceling it in pre-production, and people will be like, we'll get the pitchforks out, even though the game never would have existed. So I think most companies now are at the point where they're just like, no, we're not announcing anything until we get to we are in a playable state right now. Now it might be a pre-alpha state, but it's playable. This is happening now. We can let people know a little bit.
Yeah. So. But no, it's all looking good. I'm expecting a big flood of Kingdom Hearts news after E3 and the orchestra stuff. So we'll be talking about that in a couple of weeks. I'm no doubt for sure. Let us know what you guys think of all the news from Kingdom Hearts 3. Be sure to check us out over at DisKingdom.com. Any other and where can they find you, James?
Find me heroiclegacy.com.
Guys, thank you very much for joining us. We'll be back soon. Later.